Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Behavior Modification and Cognitive Disorder online class. My name is Glenn Killian, and I am the instructor for this class. Many of you I already know because you've been with me either in other online classes or on-campus classes. And so welcome to you, but especially to those of you, this may be your first time taking an online class or any class with me at all. And I especially want to say welcome to you. Glad that you've signed up for this class. This is a great class for us to study in the Human Services program. And I am the full-time instructor on the Montgomery campus in Human Services and been teaching here now for many, many years. And I wanted to kind of record this video as an orientation and welcome to you, just to make sure that we all get off on the right foot here as we get our class basically started. And so this is just a way for me to make some announcements. And you'll get used to seeing me on video and watching some of the lecture videos, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But welcome to class. I want to say that I'm glad that you have signed up for this great class. We're going to cover a lot of great information in this class, and I'm glad that you're here. So first thing I wanted to say aside from welcome to you is just to be aware that this is a fully online class, and because we are in summer school, many of you have probably taken classes in summer, maybe others of you have not. And it's not a big deal, but I do think it's important to highlight. If you've never taken a class in summer school, I want you to be prepared. We're going to move fairly quickly. If you've not already looked at the syllabus, and I hope by now you have, but if you haven't, that's my first encouragement to you, is to make sure you review the syllabus. And if you've already done that, or when you do that, you'll see that we cover a lot of information in a short amount of time. So it's always important in any class, especially any online class, to be organized, especially in the summer. That's really, really important. And so that's part of why I wanted to make sure I posted this video for you to watch first, this little orientation welcome video, just because we are going to move kind of quickly in this class because it is a summer class. And one of the questions I get about this class is, well, what is the class about? And if you've looked at the syllabus and the modules, maybe you've kind of gotten a feel. But this is the behavior, I call it the Behavior Modification class. It's got a little bit of a longer title than that. But this is a class where basically we're going to talk a little bit about some basic ideas related to this thing called human behavior. We're required as a program, as a human services program, the state requires that we offer a class like this one, where we cover just some basic ideas related to that foundational idea in psychology and counseling, and that is human behavior. What is human behavior? Why do we do what we do? What are some of the different theories and approaches that we use when it comes to working with people and their behavior and their choices? How do we view human behavior? How do we make sense of it? All of that is what we kind of cover in this class. And I teach this class like a theories class. Some of you may have had the counseling theories class with me, DAC 1311. Or maybe you've had it. Maybe you had it with another instructor. And in the theories class, that DAC 1311 class, counseling theories, that's the class where we talk about Sigmund Freud and psychoanalytic theory and Adlerian theory and person-centered theory with Carl Rogers and cognitive behavior theory with Albert Ellis, all those different helping approaches. Well, that's kind of what we do in this class. I kind of teach this class like a theories class. And the bulk of this class is going to be about what's called behavior theory. Behavior theory is an older, specific counseling or helping approach. And the first 2/3 of our class, the bulk of our class, is really going to be around giving you a quick little overview of some key beliefs and principles related to behavior theory, because that's really probably the main counseling and helping approach that we use as helpers to help us to understand behavior. And again, why do people do what they do? Why do we make the choices that we make? There are many different ways to approach human behavior. We'll talk about that in the first module. But this theory, behavior theory, is one of the most basic, concrete, foundational helping approaches that we use to help us to understand who we are and why we do what we do. So that's really what the class is basically about, is human behavior. It makes sense. That's kind of what the title kind of implies, right? So if you've not already looked at the syllabus, I want you to make sure you go and get the syllabus. And as you look at the syllabus, let me kind of highlight several things for you. Number one, the textbook for our class is titled Understanding Applied Behavior Analysis. Now, your book is not going to look like this. This is an older version of that book. Your book is going to be green. It's written by a man named Albert Kearney, and it's a very, very small, basic paperback book. This is the first edition. Now we use the second edition, which is green. And we'll talk here in a second about the book, as far as needing the book to do one of the assignments in the class if you choose to do that assignment. But this is a great basic book. I always tell students, especially if you're in the class and you want to work one day with children or teenagers, this is a great book to have for your library. It doesn't cost very much at all. And especially if that's kind of what you're interested in, this is a great book. Understanding Applied Behavior Analysis. Applied Behavior Analysis, or ABA, which we mentioned a little bit in our class, is a specific behavioral counseling approach that we use a lot with kids and teenagers, especially with kids and teenagers who have developmental disabilities like autism spectrum disorder. And so it's a great basic book that sort of helps people to understand some of the basic concepts related to human behavior and reinforcement and punishment and conditioning and desensitization, all those things that we're going to talk about in the class. And so that is the textbook for our class. The class basically is organized like this. If you look at the syllabus, it's going to be really important. Again, if you've never taken an online class, it's really important to make sure you get a handle on the calendar. When is stuff due? When is stuff available? 6 learning modules in this class, and we're going to spend each module about 6 days, 5 or 6 days in each module. So we're moving pretty quickly, actually. Each module opens one at a time. Module number 1 is open for you right now. It is ready for you to get working on. And each one opens, like I said, sequentially, one at a time. Module 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and so on. So look at the syllabus to get an idea of when are those modules available. 1 is available right now. When does module 2 open? When does module 3 open? Well, you can look in the syllabus and see when they open and are available then for you to work. In each module, here's kind of how the modules work. For some of you, you're familiar with this already. In each module there, number 1, are usually 2 or 3 videos like this, like a little mini lecture video where I kind of lecture and go through and give you some information. There's also some written, a Word document, some written lecture notes for you that kind of summarizes what I said on the video. There are some handouts, there are some links to some websites, there are some videos. So each module is something that you kind of start at the beginning, you kind of work your way through. You read, you listen, you study, maybe you take some notes. You just go through and kind of gather and absorb all of the information for each of the modules. The first 4 modules, 1 through 4, are about behavior theory. Last 2 modules in the class, module 5 and module 6, are about cognitive behavior theory. Now that may be a theory that some of you have already covered in your counseling theories class. I talk about it in this class as well too, because cognitive behavior theory, which is very, very well known and very popular today in the counseling field, really is a behavior-based approach. CBT, cognitive behavior theory, is really a behavior-based approach. It kind of fits with this class. So that may be the last 2 modules may be a little bit of a review for some of you who've already had your theories class. The first 4 modules, including starting with module number 1, obviously, is about behavior theory. So that module is up and available for you right now to go ahead and watch the videos, go through and look at the lecture notes, go through and look at the handouts. There are some little case scenarios I sometimes post, all of that. And at the end of every module, there's a written homework assignment. So so you're going to do 6 written homework assignments because there's 6 modules. I've posted I posted the first homework assignment for you right now. It's available for you to work on, to type up the answers to, and to drop it in the Dropbox. The homework assignment is directly connected to the video and the lecture notes. It's just my way of making sure that you've kind of paid attention, that you have found the information that you need to find that we're talking about in the class. So at the end of every module, you'll see on the syllabus that the homework assignment is due. I give you 5 or 6 days to work through the module, and the written homework assignment is due in the Dropbox at the end of the module. So there are those 6 written homework assignments. There's also 3 quizzes. And so at the end of modules 2, 4, and 6, there are online quizzes. Again, check the syllabus for the due dates and for the availability dates of those quizzes. So quiz number 1 covers module 1 and 2. Quiz 2 covers modules 3 and 4, and so on. And so again, many of you have had online classes before. You're kind of familiar already with the quizzes. The thing I want to highlight for you about the quizzes is this, and some of you have been with me in classes before. This is why it's really important to stay organized. You have to take the quiz while the quiz is open. Once the quiz is closed, you have a 0 if you haven't taken the quiz. And so I stand pretty firm on those deadlines as far as the quizzes. So if you want credit, if you want points for any of the quizzes, you got to take the quizzes while they're open. Once they close, they're gone, basically. So make sure you put in your calendar Those quiz dates, especially, I give you several days. They open one day, they're open for 3 or 4 days, and you can get in anytime and do the quiz whenever you're ready. So just make sure, because there's no makeups of missed quizzes. So there's 3 quizzes. And then also, too, I just talked to you about 6 little written homework assignments. Along the way, too, there are 3 additional written assignments. The first one is already up and available for you. It's due next week. And so your first homework assignment is due at the end of this week. The first written assignment is what I call the TV show / textbook review assignment. It's actually 2 different assignments that you pick one. And I've got the outlines posted for you. You can either view one of the Super Nanny or one of the nanny reality show that are out there online. And I give you a little outline as far as what to watch for and how to write up an analysis of one of the nanny reality shows. Or, getting back to our textbook, you may want to do an assignment out of the textbook. You don't have to, it's your option. And so you pick one of those 2 assignments, you type up the assignment, whichever one you pick, and you upload it to the Dropbox, and it's due next week. So it's due. So again, we move pretty quickly. About every week, you're going to have 1 or 2 things due, just about every single week. In addition to that assignment, the one that's already posted for you, there are 2 case studies. There's a behavior theory case study and a CBT, cognitive behavior theory case study. Those are due a little bit later in the semester. I don't have those posted for you yet. But you'll also do those in addition to the homework. You'll do the first one, the behavior theory case study, is due about the middle part of the semester, and then the CBT case study is due at the end. Again, the course syllabus gives you all of that information. It tells you when they're due. I will post those for you. You work on those in addition to your homework, and you turn them in. So basically, the class has those module homework assignments, has 3 quizzes, and it has the 3 little written assignments along the way. Pretty typical for most online classes along the way. The classroom is available to you 24/7. So you can get in and can work whenever you want to get in and work, as long as you stick to the deadlines. Because once modules open and close, well, then we're moving on. And so again, we don't go back and catch up necessarily. So you'll want to stay organized and kind of keep moving along as we kind of go along. So that's just how the class basically is kind of set up. Like I said earlier, some of you who have already had your counseling theories class, or if you've already had your general psychology class, maybe some of you have already taken your general psych class, some of what we talk about in this class may sound kind of familiar to you as we talk about. One of the things I always say in this class is, sometimes you take classes in our program, or you take classes in college, and you may not really connect to it because it doesn't relate to you. For example, maybe you take a drug and alcohol counseling class in our program. And maybe you don't have a lot of experience with drugs and alcohol. Maybe you've never really been around people who struggle with addiction. Maybe you've never struggled with addiction. And so that information is kind of new to you. You're not really connected to it because it's not personal to you. Sometimes you may take a class like the abnormal behavior class, where we talk about mental health conditions. And all of us know what mental health is, but maybe you yourself have never struggled with depression or anxiety, or maybe you've never known someone who has, and so you don't really connect to it. But then there's a class like this one, because we're talking about human behavior. Well, we're talking about one another. And this is a class that all of us can connect to, because all of us engage in behavior all the time, every day. And so this class is like a psychology, counseling theories class, where all of us can connect to it, because we all know what it's like to be human, and we all know what it's like to behave. And we all know what it's like sometimes, either with ourselves or someone else, to say, I wonder why they act like they act. I wonder why they do what they do. I wonder why they make those choices that they make. We're going to get into some of that in this class, starting with module number 1, which is, as I said a minute ago, is available for you. Your homework is available for you. The little lecture videos are available for you. You can go ahead and get working and get cracking on it. Get your work turned in. Whenever the second module number 2 is available for it, it'll become available, and we'll turn right around and do it all over again. So that's basically what the class is. It's how it's organized. It's what it's about. So as always, you can reach me by phone or by email, my Lone Star email address, or through the email function here in the classroom. All that information is on the front page of the syllabus. Let me know if you need something. I will see you with the next lecture video in module number 1. And again, welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. See you next time.